Are you a Jane Austen fan, or are you like me and could really live without her stories? How do you feel about the classics being rebooted? Hi, I'm Allie, the literary sewist. Here in my crafting castle, I create projects inspired by the books I review. Pour yourself a cup of tea, sit back, and let me tell you why you should read Pride by Ibi Zoboi. Oh, and while you're here, why don't you subscribe to my channel for more bookish sewing goodness? Pride is a modern remix of the classic tale Pride and Prejudice, set in Bushwick, which is an area of Brooklyn, New York. Zuri is our Elizabeth Bennet. She comes from Afro-Latino family. She has 4 sisters, and they all live together in one 2-bedroom apartment. Across the street from their home is a mini mansion. It gets remodeled, and a new family moves in, a new family who has money. And that's when things begin to change for the Bennet family. My most favorite thing about this story is the author is from Bushwick. She put so much of her love of that neighborhood into this story that I was just enveloped in the neighborhood. I felt the warmth and the love and all the people coming together, and they're just one big giant family. Even though her family lives in this one apartment, everybody around her is family. They know each other, they look out for each other. They would do anything for each other. You can feel the love that Ibi Zoboi has for this neighborhood, and it's so great to experience that through Zuri's eyes. I appreciated so much how authentic this story was of a retelling from the original tale. You've got all the classic tropes from the original story and this wonderful world that the author has given us, and she really did a fantastic job of melding them together in a way that not everybody is able to accomplish with their modernized retellings. Even if I had never read Pride and Prejudice, this still would have been a really lovely story all on its own. Zuri is a poet. The author could have very easily just told us she was a poet and said she likes to write poems, and here's this poem that she wrote about this. But what the author did was take Zuri's poems, include them in the text. At that point in which the poem is included, really conveys to the reader how Zuri is feeling at that particular moment. Rather than Zuri just saying, I'm feeling like this, in realistic ways for a poet, she really tells us through her poems how she's feeling. I thought that was an excellent touch to the story. I also really loved the art of this book. The cover is absolutely gorgeous, but it was this on the inside, which is also on the front, but the inside is just stunning. It's a great sketch art. I kept flipping to it because I loved looking at it. It was just so pretty. So I don't like Pride and Prejudice. A lot of what I don't like about Pride and Prejudice is the main character, Elizabeth Bennet. I never vibed with her. I never really liked her. And Zuri is so authentic of an Elizabeth Bennet that it made it hard for me to fully enjoy the story. I think ultimately it wasn't something I was going to enjoy. I loved what the author did with it, but because I don't like that type of character, I just couldn't really get into it. It wasn't a story for me. It might be for other people. I know plenty of people who love Pride and Prejudice, but I'm just not one of them. So it was a little difficult for me to fully embrace the story itself. So if you were going to write a story about the place that you call home, where would it be? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear where you're from. What feels like home to you? Is it a place? Is it a person? Tell me all the details. I went into this story not knowing if anything was going to inspire a project out of me. I just wanted to read the story, but there was a moment where Madrina, who is the landlady and grandmother of the story, she is a Haitian Santeria priestess. The entire neighborhood comes to her home for guidance. She's kind of the wisdom of the neighborhood. She invites people into her home to worship through drum circles. When people arrive, they should be pure of heart. If they don't come prepared for that, she provides skirts for them, head wraps, things that help them connect to the Orishas. Oftentimes she invites Zuri into her home to participate. At one point in the story, Zuri goes downstairs looking for guidance. She's been upset about something and she feels that's where she needs to be for the evening. She hears the drums. She jumps in and participates. She wears a long, flowy white skirt and dances barefoot, and it just heals her soul. It just really helps her connect. So that was my inspiration for what I wanted to make for this. And I love a long flowy white skirt. So let's twirl on over to the sewing machines and get this sewn up. I will come back to you when I have it all put together. Open crafting castle for business.
I killed chivalry myself with a pocket knife.
Have you ever wondered what makes a serger different than a sewing machine? A sewing machine is the all-purpose, does-it-all machine. While a serger overcasts edges, trims excessive fabric, and makes your project look professionally finished. Both offer overlapping features, but you do not have to have both to sew. It comes down to what you want to accomplish with your sewing project. Not all projects can be achieved on both machines. You would be limited with only one. Ultimately, I recommend having both if you are working with clothing at all. It makes a big difference on your efficiency and quality to have both available. That's why I am always going back and forth between the two. Power down, crafting castle.
It's not cranberry juice. We're bad and bougie up in this bee.
Here are 3 reasons you should read Pride by Ibi Zoboi. It's a super sweet romance. Our main characters are just adorable, and you really are ultimately pulling for them to be together and kind of get over themselves so that they can make that happen. The atmosphere of Bushwick is great. The way that the author brings her home neighborhood to the pages, and it really shines. It really seems like a wonderful place to grow up. This is a true to the original Pride and Prejudice retelling. It's modern, but fun, but a great connection to the original. My overall rating for Pride was 3.5. I think I actually gave it bumped it up to a 4 on Goodreads, but it wasn't a standout story for me. It was a very sweet love story, it was a great contemporary story, but it didn't offer enough of a difference for me for it to be a standout story. It was sweet, I liked it, it's enjoyable, definitely a fun read, but just a 3.5 for me. Thank you so much for joining me this week while I discuss Pride by Ibi Zoboi. It was a fun book to read. I hope you check it out. If you like what I had to say about Pride, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. I will include a link in the description below where you can pick up your own copy so you can get reading as well. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel, ring the bell so you get notified every single time there's a new video. See you next time!